There would be no adventure bike segment if it wasn't for BMW's GS. Is it enough change to still make it the king of the class? Let's find out. Since 1980 and the R80 GS, BMW has ruled the adventure bike segment, and they've been the yardstick by which all the others have been measured. Now, for 2024, the R1300 GS is here, and it's a new yardstick. So much has been changed on this motorcycle. It's a big departure from the previous model of the 1250, and all I'm wondering is, how good is the new R1300 GS? And I'm gonna have to say, it's pretty darn good overall, and it's a big step up from the 1250. So let's start off with the bike as itself. You look at both of these bikes, the GS Trophy and the GS, they are so much slimmer and so much more compact than they were before. And that was the goal of this bike from the very beginning for BMW, was to just slim down everything, make everything compact, package everything smaller. And from that came so many benefits on this motorcycle compared to the old bike in terms of the size, the ergonomics, the weight, made it so much better. Let's start with, of course, the engine. I mean, that's always big news for BMW. It's still a boxer, obviously, but this is a new engine. It's got a larger bore, 106.5 millimeters. That is a huge bore. They shortened the stroke, makes it more compact. They moved one of the camshaft drives to the front of the engine, so now it's a symmetrical unit, which is very nice for off-road riding. Definitely bounces out the bike a little bit. You know, of course, you've got BMW shift cam, actuating new larger valves, so the engine breathes better, it makes more power, 145 horsepower, and it's 110 foot-pounds of torque. That's massive, and it's like right off the get-go you get almost all of that torque, and that's the really big change in terms of rideability and power on this engine, is just how torquey and powerful it is. It is a noticeable difference from the 1250. With that shorter motor comes a more compact chassis as well, in terms of the frame and other components. So the frame is a new steel frame. It's very small. It basically uses the engine as a stress member. Let's start with the rear, because we're talking about the length of the motor, and that actually changes how the rear suspension is. So the new swing arm is actually longer because the engine's shorter. So overall length of the bike is the same as the old bike, or fairly similar, but you have a longer swing arm, which helps with reducing the angle of the drive shaft, of the cardan shaft. So instead of it being a steep angle, you know, where you have the motor here and the wheel here, it's longer, so the angle is less, which reduces some of those forces that are put on all the parts that are rotating. Up front, you've got an all-new telelever system. It's the telelever Evo, and it is so much more precise than the old telelever. The reason that is because now they've been able to make the whole unit stiffer, because they have the forks going all the way up and being bolted by the top triple clamp, and then they're using a flex plate up top to isolate the handlebar movement. So as the suspension moves through its travel, it moves back and forth, which moves the top triple clamp. And if your bars were just bolted to that top triple clamp, the bars would move. But now they've isolated the bars from that top triple clamp, so you don't feel everything moving, but at the same time, they got rid of a lot of ball joints and extraneous equipment that they had on the old telelever to isolate that movement, and it makes it a much more precise and friction-free front end. I could put this bike anywhere I wanted to in the dirt, and it was like pinpoint accurate. Ergonomics-wise, much better than before. The bike is so much slimmer at the tank area. It feels lighter. It's 29 pounds lighter than the 2023 model. Even if you totally option one of these out, it's still 4 pounds lighter than a base model GS of 2023. So that's pretty impressive. On the GS Trophy, awesome for off-road. Nice flat seat. You've got a very narrow tank section. You can grip it with your knees. When you're sitting down, it's very narrow as well. When you're standing up, the bars are right where you need to be. Very, very good. On the GS model, the street model, same thing. Excellent ergonomics, very comfortable. I wish the seat height was a little bit taller from the foot peg to the seat, give you a little bit more leg room. But other than that, it's really good. In terms of windscreens, the GS Trophy, it's a very small off-road specific windscreen. It does move with just a small lever right here, up and down. Not a lot of wind protection, to be honest. Did get a lot of buffeting with a off-road style helmet, even within the up position at speed, but that's to be expected. It's off-road ready, right? This model has got the premium package on it with a taller windscreen with the wind deflectors, and on the highway, once you get above 60 miles an hour, you move that thing all the way up. It's electronically adjustable, and you are completely protected all the way up until top speed. You have no buffeting on your helmet. Really, really impressive. I'm 5'10", so your mileage may vary, right? If you're 6'3", you're not gonna have the same experience I do at 5'10". So let's talk about handling real quick. We kind of touched on it already with the off-road handling. It's very precise, it's much better. On-road, it's just as good as it used to be. Super balanced, you don't have fork dive, you don't have squat when you're accelerating and braking. It's just super stable, it sticks, it goes where you want it to. It's just simple, it's easy to ride well on-road on a GS. It always has been, and that's one of the staples of a GS, is that the on-road performance is excellent, and it remains excellent, and even slightly better. But off-road, it has gotten much better. It's still very much a GS, and you know, when you're looking at a new clean sheet design that's smaller, lighter, more compact, you're going, okay, maybe it has some serious increase in off-road performance. And it does in terms of handling, but in terms of suspension travel, it does not. And you can still bottom it out, and it still feels a little bit heavy if you overdo things. But that's always been the case with the GS. It's never been a problem. People are used to it, and it doesn't detract from the overall balance of the bike. So don't expect this thing to soak up the big, gigantic bumps, but it's better than the old GS. It's more stable, it handles better, and it is more precise. On the road, it is excellent. It soaks up everything nicely, and it just goes. So overall, has the yardstick changed by which we measure all other motorcycles? I'm gonna have to say yes. The new R1300 GS is the new yardstick by which all other adventure motorcycles are going to be measured. So that's it for our review of the 2024 R1300 GS. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, and there's gonna be tons and tons of comments on this bike. I know it already. Put them down below, and I'll get back to you. Thanks.